Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sporting Fan Podcast. Today on the podcast we've got a mate of mine from Waverley Rugby, someone that used to play a little bit of professional football around the world. Tom Halse, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, Stevie. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Thanks for coming on. Now, first thing let's get straight into it. First thing I would like to speak to you about is a little bit about your career. So obviously like I said, you've played a little bit in Europe and that, but where did it start? Did it start? Oh, like obviously you had played juniors and that, but once you left school, did you University of Otago? Was it?
Yeah, that's correct, mate. Yeah, I went down to uni in Otago, and that's sort of where I started taking rugby a bit more serious because I had a bit more time up my sleeve, and yeah, got into playing a bit of serious footy down there, and we ended up winning the club championship with the University of Otago, which was pretty cool.
Is that where you met? Who we'll get into a little bit later on, but is that where you met Cam and Ollie Spence?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I bounced around a little bit, but came across Cam Goodhue and Ollie Spence down in Dunedin. I was a year younger than those boys, but we used to cross paths in the pub and in the rugby circles, and then yeah, now all reunited at Waverley. Ollie sort of got me to the club, and Ollie played a big part in getting Cam here too. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, so just so everyone that's listening that's not part of Waverley Rugby, Cam Goodhue is our first grade coach. He played a little bit of professional football himself, played for the Auckland Blues, played a bit of ITM Cup, and then also played in Europe. He's also the older brother of Josh and Jack Goodhue, who are playing for opposing teams in the Super Rugby Final this weekend. And yeah, he's our first grade coach, and Ollie Spence is our first grade captain. So they got you can. We'll get a little bit back onto Waverley a little bit later on, but then after university, you went over to Europe, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I went off to Italy. That was really cool. That was sort of my first taste of professional rugby. The Italian rugby is a little bit different. It's really physical and it's really slow. It's mostly dictated by the weather, and obviously rugby's not their first sport there. Football is definitely, the first sport that every kid wants to play. And then came back to New Zealand after that and spent a few years in New Zealand before shooting off to Europe again.
So you played in a little bit in France and Russia. Because those must be complete opposite to playing, well, for starters in New Zealand, but I can imagine Russia and France must be completely different styles of rugby as well.
Yeah, well, to be fair, pretty similar, right? They're both really physical, like the Russian boys. There were a few guys from Ukraine. One of the guys is actually stuck in Ukraine. I speak to him pretty regularly with the war. He couldn't get out. Which is quite interesting, seeing as he was playing for a Russian rugby club. But they're really physical and big guys there. The French and European style is definitely different to the New Zealand style. But the club was pretty good. We played in the European Challenge Cup, and we actually beat the Worcester Warriors, which is a premiership team. And actually Cam Goodhue played for that team, not at that time, but he used to play for them. And we also beat the Newport Gwent Dragons, which is a Welsh club.
So that was obviously pretty big for the club. I'm guessing the celebrations were pretty wild.
Yeah, it was pretty good. The Russian boys know how to have a good night out. I won't give too many stories away, Stevie. I've got a fiance now, and I was single at that time.
Yeah, I could just imagine the wild nights of plenty of vodka, and I've been around Waverley Rugby for a few years now. I can just imagine that would be basically Waverley Rugby on steroids. So I can just imagine that. So you came. So how long were you in Europe? I know you said that you had a gap there, but how long between Italy, Russia, and France were you actually over there?
Yeah, so around about 6 years. I spent a year in Italy. I spent a few years in France, a year in England, and then close to a year in Russia, and travelling around Europe with that team. So yeah, it was a good stint, mate. Got to live the dream for a while, and definitely pinched myself every day that I got to go to rugby training as a job. It was awesome.
And how did you find the languages? Because obviously, I'm guessing in Russia and that they wouldn't speak too much English and French. France speak a bit, but it wouldn't be much.
Yeah, so France and Italy, you can get by. In my second year in France, conversationally, I was all right, and they definitely respect you a lot when you speak French in France. They have a saying, allez en France, parlez français, which means that if you come to France, you must speak French, basically. And if you speak English, then they really don't like you. But in Russia, I didn't even make an attempt, to be honest. I knew that I was only going to be there for a year, and that could sound quite ignorant, but it is a really difficult language comparatively to French and Italian to pick up.
Did you pick up any Italian, or was it just a little bit of
A
the
little
French?
bit, yeah, a little bit. Italian is pretty easy to pick up. Yeah, I wouldn't definitely say I'm fluent, and my French was definitely better than my Italian, but enough to get by, enough to order a coffee and to order a meal or to, yeah, all those sorts of things. Buy a T-shirt in H&M or whatever it is.
Definitely, definitely. And then was it straight back to New Zealand after that, or was it you came back over? Well, you not back, but did you come over to Australia back from Europe, or was it over to New Zealand first?
Yeah, so I went back to New Zealand first. I'd actually signed to go play for Warringah in the Shute Shield, and I got home and I was just enjoying being home, and I messaged the coach, Darren Coleman, who's now coaching the Waratahs, and said, I actually enjoy being home. I'm gonna stay here, and he was pretty pissed off with me, to be honest. But I made a promise to him that I'd come over the next year, which I did. And I was training with Auckland, wider NPC squad. They do like a big squad before they cut it down. So I would have been a massive outside chance to have made that, even if I was playing really well. But I got injured and ended up needing surgery on my foot. And then post that, recovered from surgery and then came over and played for Warringah in the Shute Shield, which was cool. And they just come off the back of winning the Shute Shield, so I came a year too late in hindsight.
Yeah, but imagine playing in that final. There would have been I've seen some of the Shute Shield celebrations there. Because
Yeah,
I've been down to a couple of East games and Randwick games, and they're just like pretty wild down there. You played for Randwick, didn't you?
yeah, I did. I played a few games for them.
Uh-huh.
I got a job in the city and moved to Bondi, and obviously it wasn't feasible to still play at Warringah. When I was living here and working in the city. But yeah, it wasn't for me. It's a really cool club though, and I went back to Warringah after Randwick, that's when I first initially came and played a few games at Waverley, which was really fun. Through Ollie Spence, he reached out, and then I went back to Warringah the next year, and after that, Scotty, who rest his soul, is now passed away. He managed to get me back to Waverley, which was pretty cool last year, and yeah, still here, mate, still going, and probably my last year in Australia, because me and Alice are going to move home next year.
Oh, so just quickly on that. So, how did you find the difference between for starters, how did you find the rugby difference between New Zealand and Australia, playing Shute Shield, and then after that, Shute Shield to subbies?
I think every grade's different. The difference between New Zealand and Australia is everyone plays rugby union in New Zealand. And the best athletes in Australia play league and contact sport. I think you could probably take a league team and make them into a really, really good rugby union side, but I don't think you could probably take, the Waratahs and make them into an outstanding NRL side. I think there's a lot of boys in there that would go really good, but the prime athletes all get poached by NRL clubs because they have more money. And that's pretty common knowledge, and the work Darren Coleman's doing at the Waratahs, he's really trying to change that, and he has made a really good change, which is awesome for rugby union here. But we just have a pick of 5 million people in New Zealand, and everyone's playing rugby union, so the standards are higher, the levels higher. Everyone wants to be an All Black. You're basically born with it bred into you. There's not the options you have in Australia. The weather's not as nice generally, so you can't have the option to miss rugby training and go surfing, because the likelihood is you don't live near a beach anyway, but also it's going to be freezing cold in winter, so you're going to go to rugby training.
Do you think if Australia brought in something like, what used to be the NRC, the equivalent to New Zealand and the NPC, or um, the Curry Cup in South Africa, do you think that would probably help keep a lot of people in union? Because, like, for example, if you look through right through our history, a lot of the league players are actually union juniors, because you got guys like, Wally, even way back, like Wally Lewis, and that he was a rugby union junior to the current day. He got Angus Grant. Do you reckon having something like that where there's a pathways will help um, keep those blokes in union?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, mate. I didn't even know that Wally Lewis played union, so that's a good pick-up, Stevie. I think that money drives everything, and if you can find money to retain talent, then that's going to be the key. The guy in Western Australia, forgive me, I've forgotten his name, who does...
Twiggy Forrest.
Exactly. Twiggy's done a really good job because he's pumping cash into the game, and if they can do that across the board with the super clubs, or even at Shute Shield level, Australians are really tribal and they love it. Like, look at the Bunnies fans, or the Manly Seagulls fans, or the Penrith fans. Like, they love it. The Roosters fans are, they'll go to the game when they're winning. But,
hey, not all of us, not all of us. Some of us go to all the games, even when we're losing. I know you had to get that jab in there.
You know what I mean? You'll see a bunny.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A random game because there's just so many fans. But if you can replicate that and then get money, the other thing that the leagues clubs have is a leagues club, and they have casinos and stuff there, which rugby doesn't have. So already there, they've got more revenue, so that means they can buy more young talent. If rugby finds a heck of a lot of cash, then they're going to be in a better position to retain the young players and stop them from going to NRL.
So you quite enjoy? Are you quite enjoying Did you quite enjoy your time in Shute Shield, like at Ringa and Randwick?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good for me because through my 20s I only played rugby, and you kind of get a shock when you leave that environment because you go to training. You go to the gym and it's all done. It's all there for you. You just have to turn up, and then you stop playing rugby for a job, and you have to go to work at 9 to 5. You have to interact with all different people. So the Shute Shield's good in that sense, and I enjoyed it because you've still got rugby. You're still competing at a high level. It's 3 nights a week, so it's really professional, and it just helped me adjust to that sort of life after rugby aspect, and that I'm not going to be able to play rugby forever, but it's still enjoyable. And also on the other side of the spectrum, it's great for young guys coming through because it is a professional environment, and it sets you up if you do want to go to Europe, or if you do want to go to a Super Rugby team. You train as much as a professional team. Basically, you're training 3 nights a week. You've got 3 gym sessions. So the only difference is when you go into a professional environment, you're doing it during the day rather than at night, basically.
And how did you find the transition to subby? So obviously you went from Warringah to Waverley. So how did you find that transition?
Look, I think they're all different levels, and you could take our team and put them in a Shute Shield environment, and we'd go pretty well if we were training 3 nights a week, and the boys were all gymming and sticking to gym programs and having metrics and stuff like that. But the point is that we're not. People who play subbies don't want to play Shute Shield. They want to play subbies because they're either probably a little bit past their best in terms of physical capabilities. I'll put myself in that bracket. But also, it's time. Everyone has, really busy lives, busy jobs outside of rugby, but they still love rugby, and they still, love each other, basically. And that's a big thing about Waverley, is we all get around each other and support each other, and we're an awesome club. And your reason changes why you play the game. You play the game because you still love rugby and we want to win the Kent World Cup. But, it might not be the same reason as to when I was chasing that sort of professional rugby contract or whatever it was.
So just with Waverley, so you said that Scotty brought you to the club. So that, and you said when did you came started last year, didn't you? To Waverley?
I first played back in 2019 when I finished at Randwick, I came and played a few games for Waverley, and Ollie Spence brought me to the club. But yeah, Scotty, and then the following year, Cam Goodhue came over and came over to coach, and me and Cam obviously were mates, and yeah, stayed in touch with the club and used to get on the beers with all the boys because I was still living in Bondi and I was travelling up to Warringah for training. And then Scotty was always in my ear and trying to get me back to the club. So I told Scotty last year before he sadly passed away that, I'd come back and we'll do our best to win the comp all together, and that was definitely Scotty's dream, was to make Waverley the best club in subbies rugby outside of Shute Shield and have a professional mindset. And I think Scotty's legacy is definitely strong because, when I look at a training session at Waverley now compared to when I first came, they're completely different. The playing numbers are huge. It's a professional-like environment, and it's really well run, and it's a massive credit to all the work Scotty did behind the scenes, but as well as what Cam's done, what Ollie was doing as well when Ollie was director of rugby, and probably what Ted and Craig and the rest of the club and everyone involved, and Oki as well, have been doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, so we're just sticking to Waverley because obviously we're both involved. Like that's how we met. We met with I think the first time I actually met you was actually, unfortunately, in the aftermath of Scotty's death when you were down with Callum, who's the overall club captain. You were down at the Beach Road. Sorry, not Beach Road, Coogee Bay. Coogee Bay Hotel, and I went down, and I think that's when the first time I met you, wasn't it? When we were down there, and so that's really what we're starting to push really now a lot more is just before you came on, you had the it's okay not to be okay. So unfortunately, for those listening, we lost Scott. He had a lot of I don't want to go too much into it because I don't know how his family's doing, and it's not really my story to tell, but unfortunately he had a few troubles in his life through a few incidents in his life through military and other things that he unfortunately did die through, and so the club provided the it's okay not to be okay. We've really pushing the mental health side of things now, so and this week's actually a mental health round. We're playing Drummoyne, who's one of the bigger clubs in subbies, and they, I believe in 2020, had a fairly similar situation where someone at the club, at their club, they went through the similar kind of thing. What have you really noticed that as well? Like the culture around like the mental health in rugby is starting to change, or compared to what you started, or?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I was sort of brought up in the old school, and I'm sure even when you look at like a 20-year-old compared to when they're 30 and they're still playing, everything's improving and getting better, and it's not just within rugby environments, but within the whole world, everything keeps improving, from technology to whatever it is, to transportation and stuff, and mental health is just one of those aspects. It's going to keep getting better, and we definitely make more of a point of it. I think it's just asking those second and third questions rather than just how was your day. We did a lot of work on it at Warringah, which Mike Ruthven led, which was really cool, and that was just about, rather than when you turn up to training and how was your day, you ask, oh yeah, cool, how's your mum or dad doing, or oh yeah, what was cool about your day, so that you're just making really sure that not only are you asking your friends if they're okay, but what's really going on with them, so we can find out, and guiding people that if they are mentally unwell, then to go and see someone. Like I'll speak about my experience, and I've had my struggles personally, and I go and see a counsellor, and who also helps me as an executive coach off and on, and I'm not ashamed to say that, and I think if more people do it, it'll be better for society. And that's what that beanie represents, that a few of us were at training, that it's okay to not be okay. And it's not actually weak to ask for help. if you're sick, you go see the doctor. It's the same thing. If you need a bit of help, you should ask someone. If you're trying to get better at tackling, you go and tackle a tackle bag. If you want to get better at goal kicking, you go and kick more goals. So if you're not working on what's troubling you, then it's not going to get better, basically.
Yeah, I've had like kind of similar situation because I've had an uncle commit suicide, so obviously it's something that's right. And I've also had a grandmother die through um didn't commit suicide, but I also had a lot of mental problems as well. So like obviously something that I'm fairly aware of just through my own family, and then obviously with Scott as well. So yeah, so it's definitely something that I try to because also sometimes it does run in the family where you've had mental stuff as well, and obviously so that's always something that I keep an eye on, and I've seen psychiatrists as well and that. So yeah, so
It's good, mate, and it's good you can talk about it. It's good stuff.
yeah,
I think
so
the main point though is that if something is going wrong, then you should be allowed to talk about it and not be judged, and that's all good. After Scotty passed away, a lot of people went through a lot of emotions, and we can't bring him back, but I fucking wish that we could, to be honest. But anyway,
yeah, I think that's what we all do, right?
Exactly, mate.
Yeah, so just on the getting back onto a little bit of a lighter note, how do you find the background stuff? Like, so obviously there's a different level to in rugby between obviously the European leagues as well as Shute Shield, but how do you as well as subbies, but how do you find the social side of things on the background? Like, we've just had our Ladies' Day, and obviously the other rugby clubs, both in subbies and Shute Shield, have Ladies' Day. How do you find that? How do you find the social scenes?
Yeah, Waverley's social side's definitely the best out of any club I've played at. Warringah's pretty good, I'll be honest. And the thing about Warringah is it's on the northern beaches, and you've got a whole basically peninsula all the way down to Manly. So everyone comes to the games. Manly Warringah game, you get 10,000 people there, and it's a huge party at the club afterwards. But the thing about Waverley is, the whole of Bondi basically will come from the expat community and from the Waverley area as well as the old boys. Obviously people go to Easts, and then some go to Randwick. But in terms of when you're walking around Bondi, a lot of the English, the Kiwis, the Irish, and then the school affiliations will come to Waverley. So the social side of things, awesome. As a community, it's really cool, and that's part of the reason why I keep playing, to be honest. It's just those social connections and the community aspect of the club is really cool.
Yeah, and hopefully this year you guys actually win it, because I just remember in 2020 when we had the COVID year, but when first grade made we had first grade and third grade make the grand final. I remember I was at the third grade grand final keeping the score, and then we had the first grade final that the whole club was watching at Beach Road, and it was just even in COVID, the whole pub was just rocking down there. It was absolutely insane. Hopefully because this year you still got we still got the crux of that team. Obviously you've come in as well, but you look at that. There's really the colleagues or the team to beat, but seeing you guys, I reckon you guys push them right to the challenge, to the end, and you guys probably can beat them. What's it? Because I don't because I'm behind the scenes. I don't always see the grades. What's the feeling actually within the team? Do you guys think you can actually knock off colleagues and the rest of the or obviously you've basically knocked off everyone else, but do you reckon you can beat them? Eventually beat them, or how to beat them?
I definitely think we can beat them. We didn't play that well the first time we've played them. We're pretty lucky. I don't know how they work out the draw, but we've got Drummoyne this weekend, which will be huge, and everyone's focused on that. And then we've got colleagues next week. So first things first, we have to beat Drummoyne, but then next week colleagues will be a really, really big test, and I think we can beat them. I'm not gonna say we will beat them because we haven't played the game yet, but I believe that we'll beat them, mate. I think we're a much better side, and we played pretty poorly. So it'll be an exciting game, and yeah, I think we can go all the way and win it. It's just a matter of week by week, to be honest, Stevie, and not getting ahead of ourselves.
Do you reckon you can pull Cam out of retirement and get him to play?
Nah, mate, he's too old, mate.
What about getting? I was trying to convince him to get one of his brothers to come over and play because I remember Jack like his first game back was on I think the weekend that the Crusaders played the Waratahs at his club. I try to convince him to let Razor let him play club footy with us and then go back to the Crusaders, and he just laughed. And
sounds like a good idea, mate. I reckon keep pestering it. He'll crack.
Just on Jack, who do you reckon Cam's going to be supporting this weekend, Josh or Jack?
I saw it thrown around in the group chat. He reckons he doesn't care as long as Waverley wins, so that's quite good from our coach.
I think he's trying to be diplomatic because
I think he'll be excited either way, mate. I don't think he can pick a side, but secretly I probably think if the Blues win, he'll be happy because he played for the Blues and the Crusaders have won enough.
Yeah, so for those that are wondering what we're talking about, it's obviously the Super Rugby Final this weekend. So you got Cam's twin brothers are playing for opposite teams this weekend. So will you be support? You got Josh playing for the Auckland Blues, and you got Jack playing for the Crusaders. Who do you reckon you'll be supporting?
I'll definitely be going for the Blues, mate.
They're going to be hard to beat, eh? Like they only lost to I think they only lost to the Hurricanes this year. In that game there, they shouldn't have lost. Where they scored 2 tries in that last minute, like last 2 minutes, and Adi Severe ran the length of the field and scored on 4 times. Remember that game where they won 33-32 or something like that? I remember. But
I think it'll be a close game. It'll definitely depend on the weather. If it's pelting with rain, it will definitely be a leveler. Auckland can have 4 seasons in one day, so it'll be really weather dependent. I reckon if it's a dry track, I think the Blues will do it. But yeah, if it's raining, it'll be anyone's game.
So you'll basically be rushing back after your game, right, to watch it because you guys finished about 4:45 and the game's on about 5:30, I think.
Yeah, no, exactly, mate. I think we'll be shooting down to the beach road to the sponsors pub and getting a palmy and watching it there.
Yeah, because there's actually 2 sets of brothers that are playing for opposing teams. There's obviously the Goodhue brothers, and then you got the Barretts as well.
Exactly, it's quite weird, isn't it? And then you've got the Wani brothers and then the Severe brothers all on opposite sides as well.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting. The one thing I always say to Cam is that you should get one of them to run it straight at the other. And get them to destroy each other. And he goes, but they actually like each other. I'm like, well, the Barretts did it, and I'm sure they get along, but they still like to, you've got a brother, you just want to, you like them, but you play against them, you want to destroy them, right? Like, you want to just get one over them.
Did the Barretts do that? I didn't see that. That's
I think, when the Hurricanes played the Crusaders earlier this year, I think it was this year or last year, Jory ran it straight at Scott, and then Scott put him right on his ass, being the slightly bigger of the brothers. Scott's probably got about 10 kilos on him, so and about a couple of centimeters in height. So yeah, they had a tag team. One of his teammates both of them just flattened him. I had a good laugh at that. So yeah, so you'll be watching. So you'll be watching that. I'm guessing you'll be watching that, or at least the second half once we're down at Beach Road.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, that's the plan.
Will you be watching it on your phone, or will you be hopefully we'll get it up on the big screen? Hopefully.
Nah, Stan, they should have it on the big screen there. They normally do that for us.
Yeah. No worries.
Cool.
So you say but just back to last thing. What you're saying this will be your last year before you go back to New Zealand. So is it just because you're both fat? Like obviously, like I said at the start, and people listening, you probably could tell by the accent. But you're obviously a Kiwi. Is it like like all your families are still over there? Like you got no family here, or?
My brother's here, and I've got cousins here. My dad's brother moved over here and settled out in Camden a while ago. My dad's oldest brother. So I've got some cousins and extended family here. And my brother just lives up the road in Bellevue Hill. So he's here, but yeah, the rest of my family, my mum and dad and other brother and sister are all back in New Zealand. And yeah, Alice, my partner's mum and dad are back in New Zealand, but her sister's here. So yeah, it'll be good just to get home and yeah, we bought a house there a year ago, so to get into that, and yeah, just start living life back in New Zealand, mate. We might get bored and be back pretty soon, but you know, we can always come back if that's the case.
Yeah, we'll always take you back. You know, Waverley Rugby will be more than happy to take you back at any time. We would love to have you back. But yeah, just wrapping up here. So, yeah, again, we on the podcast today we had Tom Halse, and yeah, so Waverley Rugby player. Hopefully gets the award over Drummoyne this week. We get another clean sweep like we did a few weeks ago. Get down and hopefully everyone listening will get down and watch it this weekend, and as well as for the rest of the season. So Tom, thanks for coming on.
No, awesome. Thanks, Stevie, and appreciate everything you do for Waverley Rugby Club, mate. You're a bloody legend. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.